Hey guys, this is Toby Eunice of Garage Prospecting, and what we're going to be processing today is this bag that I received from Glacier Creek Mining Company. You guys know him as Tony. He has his own YouTube channel, and I will post a link to that channel down below. Tony is in Alaska, and he mines his own property, his own claim, plus he mines some other claims up there. This material, I believe, came from his own claim, and he sent me 2 packages in that big box that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. So the first package contains what he calls Anitas Paydirt, and he sent a picture, and I have several other pictures of Anita that I want to share with you on Monday night. Anita was Tony's daughter, and she passed away in 2022 at the age of 22 after a bout with cancer. And I think Tony has named these bags of pay dirt that he's been creating Anita's Paydirt in memoriam, as a memorial to Anita, and I think that's how we're going to treat this bag. Now, he does say there is, I don't know if you can see it up that close, he claims there is 1.5 grams of gold in here. That means we'll have enough for at least 3 bags, maybe 4, and I will call them Anita's Paydirt as well. And again, in memoriam of his daughter, his beautiful daughter, Anita, who passed away in 2022. Now, he also sent me this bigger bag of material, and he promised me that, and I think this is the bag that came from that, what do they call it? The dredge, that big Alaskan dredge that he dug into the scoops from to get. And it's pretty heavy. I haven't weighed it, but I'm going to guess it's more than 10 pounds. So that's going to be an interesting run. And we'll do that in the next couple of weeks. I've got something planned for next week already, but we'll do that in the next couple of weeks. All right? So let's get started with Anita's Paydirt. And of course, we'll start by opening it up. I'll show it to you. Then we'll classify it. What I've discovered about Tony's Paydirt is it has magnetics, but they're the big chunky magnetics, usually tin and one other magnetic attractor, but they're not the kind of thing that you'd run through the dry magnetic separator. They're much bigger chunks than that. So I think we'll just do classification and then decide which of the platforms we'll use to get the gold out of it. And at the end, we'll share that gold amongst a couple of bags for you guys, all right? Okay, let's get to it now. All right, guys, let's see what we've got here in Anita's Paydirt. And as you can see, you might be able to see it's got 1.5 grams, the implication 1.5 grams of gold. Let's cut it open and take our first look at it. By the way, he did send me some stickers. I don't know whether I mentioned it in the intro, but he did send me some stickers that I'll include in any packages of pay dirt that we give away. So I've done a couple of bags of his pay dirt. He does the Miss Timeson's Blue Tundra Delight, and it looks a lot like this. It's very varied in size and density, all kinds of material, including some organics now. A lot of mica. You see a lot of mica in there, plus these big, either hematite or magnetite. We'll check. So let's see if we're talking about a magnetic piece there. No. But I don't know what you can see is. All you have to do is dig into it, and you're going to get some magnetics, but they're chunky magnetics. So Tony says he doesn't have any black sand in his material. These are all like tin and other magnetic materials that comes from the mining process. So like I said, there's no good way to take it out with a dry magnetic separator because it just doesn't have a way to do that. But we will take it out because it always ends up in your pan at the end of a run, and so we'll take some of it out with a magnet then. But as you can see, lots of it, lots of heavy stuff. So I guess I could do the old thing. I don't think we'll take any gold with it if we try it this way to get some of the magnetics out, but I think it's better if we do it in the pan, because a lot of it washes into the tailings. All right, let me get this classified. I'm going to do a standard classification, +10, -10, -20, -40, -60. on this, and then I'll come back with a breakdown, and then we'll take the -10 and put it under the microscope so you can see what's going on here, okay? Now usually the +10, I've got a container that's actually specifically for Tony's material that will eventually go through the Mighty Mill, and you'll see a lot of that. Some of these bigger things in here will go into that container and run through the Mighty Mill, okay? Yeah, all you have to do is so yeah, that's some pretty heavy stuff right there, big and heavy. So okay, yeah, he says, like he says, I don't have any black sand in my material, but he's got that other stuff that's other metallics, actually, tin, things like that. All right, let's get set up. I'm going to go ahead and classify. I'll come back when I'm done classifying, all right? All right, guys, here we go with the classifications. What I've got here is the +10 that's going to go into the Mighty Mill. I did scrounge through it. I didn't quite pan it, and I found a single nugget that looks a lot like the Alaskan gold that I'm familiar with. It's kind of dirty. I will get a shot for you of that under the microscope. This is the -10. It's going into the sluice. I've taken a sample of that -10, and we'll take a look at that material under the microscope. This is the -20. That's going to go into the spiral gold planning machine. This is -40. This will go through the blue bowl, and this is -60. This will go through the Miller table. Now, I did pull a little bit of magnetics out of each one of these, a little bit of them, and I put them into the Garage Prospecting New Mexico Paydirt mix so that you guys can experience some of this material that we get from Alaska. All right? So let me take this and get it under the microscope so you can see it. And we'll just take a quick look at that. So here is that, I called it a nugget. It's probably a picker instead of a nugget. Pretty good size, but it is very much that Alaskan gold that you get because it's dirty. And a lot of the gold that I see Tony recover is always a little bit dirty. He put that in the +10 for us. So I think I'm going to keep that separate and maybe give that away separately from the bags. It's not a big nugget, but it's a respectable nugget. We'll weigh it, of course. So I'm going to get it out of the way so I don't spill it someplace and lose it. Put that over there. And then let's take a look at this -10 material. Now, I've told you in the past the reason I picked the -10 is because that's the standard mesh for collecting the scientific definition of sand. And like all the other material that we've gotten from Tony, you see very, very little quartz. It's mostly granite, the hematites, the magnetites, you know, a lot of black material. Occasionally the piece of quartz, I don't think that is there. That's got mica in it, so there's a lot of mica. There's a small piece of white quartz, but you don't see out of this material from Alaska, at least from where Tony's mining, you don't see a lot of the clear, you know, the quartz that we see down here in the arroyos in New Mexico and other places, I'm sure. But if you're digging up an arroyo in New Mexico, I guarantee you, you're going to see mostly quartz with some granite. In this case, it's mostly granite with just with mica and just a little bit of quartz. Okay? All right, so let me put that back. I'm going to go ahead and put that back into the -10. And I will set up the sluice and we'll start to run. And of course, we'll go through the entire process. This will go, I actually keep a separate container for the material that I get from Tony. And I've been through it pretty good. I don't think there are any other nuggets in there that I could see, but I've got the one out of there that we found, and we'll give that away separately. It's not a big one. I call it a nugget, picker. We'll give that away separately. I think it's just a kind of good example of that kind of gold that Tony digs up. All right? All right, I'll be back in a minute. All right, guys, here we go with the cleanup sluice run. This sluice is made by miningmagnets.com, Coulter Brown's operation. If you do decide to order one of these for yourself, and you use the coupon code GARAGE, you'll get a 10% discount. If you're a veteran and you use the coupon code VETERAN, you'll get a 15% discount. So I don't usually wet my material because Coulter has very nicely put a weir up here. But I think when I talk with Tony, he always recommends that I wet it before I put it into the sluice. So I've done that today. So we'll just make this little run right here. My voltage is set at 7.4, and it looks like it's plenty high enough. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit more. All right, so first of all, Tony said this stuff is going to be hard to pan. Let me see if I can get the light off so you can see it. No, it doesn't help. So it's right up in there. It's lots of flaky but big flakes, you know. It's really big stuff, but these rocks, there is no sand, blonde or black sand in here. There's just these rocks that are just as big as the pieces of gold. And so it's, I'm having a hard time separating the two because the rocks just want to stay with the gold and vice versa, and then the gold comes on down here. So what I think I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to pick it out with tweezers. All right, I'll do that, and then I'll come back with a picture for you. Okay? All right. Alaska gold. All right, guys, here we go with the blue spiral. It's set at 45-degree angle, and water flow is optimum. I've set the voltage at 12, which drives both the motor and the water pump. And you don't actually have to wet your material first because it gets wet before it does anything. I always pour it in from, what is this, as I'm facing at the left side. So a spoon at a time seems to work pretty well. You'll see the organic material come off first, and then the lighter material. So this has a lot of those heavy rocks in it as did the last batch. I'm interested to see how it performs, and we'll run tests on it in just a little bit to see what it's dumping out. You see it right there. I got some good gold, but as usual, it's tough to get out, all right? So I'm gonna take and get this cleaned out, and then I'll take a picture for you. But this material is so heavy, it's hard. It's not like black sand. Black sand you can make come back. It's getting these are rocks the same size as the gold, and so it makes it really tough to get it out. But we'll do that. I'll get a picture for you, okay? All right, guys, we're about to continue with the blue bowl here. But I do have to say that this material is very difficult to work with for two reasons. Number one, it doesn't have black or blonde sand. It has rocks, and the rocks seem to be the same mesh size as the gold, and so it's real hard to tell the difference. Plus, the gold is dirty. And so if you're not really, really careful, I've had to look at each one of my batches very carefully to make sure I wasn't keeping more rocks than I needed to, or giving away more gold than I needed to. So far it's been pretty good. I'm hoping that the blue bowl has an easier time with this material. So this is the -40 material. We're gonna go ahead and put in the blue bowl, and then eventually what we'll do is we'll adjust the voltage to get the right amount of water level. So I'm just going to spread it around the edges here. So again, we've got some organic material that we have to deal with, but that'll go right over the top of the volcano right away. So I'm going to turn off the light for just a second and see if I can get the glare out of this so you can see what's going on. I don't know if that'll help. But we've got gold all around here. There's gold around the volcano, but it's mixed with some of that heavy material that's as close to black sand. I know we don't have black sand, but it's just the same. This is 40 mesh. So it's material, dark material, that's just as heavy as the gold, and it's not literally not going over the volcano. So let me see if I can get this kind of poured over to one side so you guys can see what's going on. Well, we do have quite a bit of gold, but it's, you know, this is the 40 mesh material, and it's mixed with a lot of the darker material. I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna call it black sand because it isn't. It's just rocky material that's as heavy as this 40 mesh gold. I mean, it's even hard to tell that there's gold there. I don't even see it. I'm going to pour it out a little bit because I need to use the squeeze bottle to get it down. So, I mean, the good news is there's quite a bit of gold. The bad news is there's quite a bit of material that I'm going to have to work to get out so that I can get the gold. And I think the Blue Bowl did as good as a job as it could with the material. And this is very unique to Alaska, I'm going to guess, since I haven't seen it behave this way with any other material that well, I did have that that stuff that I had from, what's her name, Kayla Johansson. That's also Alaska, but it behaved very differently from this. So, and we can see it, but it's just a nice mix of gold and rocks, the same size. All right, let me get it out into a pan. I'll do my best to clean it out, and then we'll take a look at it. I'll take a picture for you under the microscope, okay? All right, the pitch is set at 5. I've got a nice waterfall here on the end. It's nice and even. So let's see what happens with this material. See if we have the same problem with the rocks. Well, there's a nice gold line there. So I've got some gold here, but I feel like I lost some gold into the catchment, the tailings catchment. So I think I'm going to rerun that offline just to see, because I feel like I lost some. Okay? I'll be back when I've got everything back together. Okay. I was right. I did let a lot of stuff go into tailings, and there's one right there just floating down. So, a couple of things. I put jet dry in here, and this gold is still traveling downwards without any force of water behind it. But this is all the material that was in the tailings, and so it's kind of the same problem as before. Not that this gold is any lighter. I mean, it's literally traveling with just the water that's flowing backwards. You can see it almost like it doesn't have any weight to it, like it didn't have any jet dry, and it's all floating on top of the water. So as long as I keep it back up there, I think I'll be fine. But I did get a whole bunch more gold out of that running the tailings, but I also got a whole bunch more of that dark material. So let me see how much of this I can catch. I will, oh yeah, we're gonna lose that stuff right there. I mean, literally, if I don't catch it, it's gonna run off the miller table, which has never happened before with any gold that I've processed. The miller table catches it, but it's also catching a lot of this black material that's getting caught up with the gold. I mean, you saw some of the dirt go down, but there's as much of this dark material in here as there is gold. I put it in this pan just because, so I don't know if you can see it. It's down there. Anyway, I'll try and clean it up as best I can and get a picture of it for you. But this is pretty much the toughest batch of gold I've ever panned Not that I'm an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but this is some pretty tough stuff. Behaves so the pay dirt behaves differently and the gold behaves differently. So, all right, let me see what we got. It isn't a lot, but there is some. I'll get a picture for you, and then we will weigh it up, see how much we have, and maybe put it into some bags for you guys. Okay? All right, guys, so let's weigh it up, see what we got. Now, unfortunately, this was really tough to pan out and completely clean. So there's some material that is just rocks, but it's hard to distinguish between the rocks and the gold, the dirty gold. So you're gonna have to forgive me for that. Let's turn this out. So we were promised 1.5 grams. We got 1.555. Now that's with all that dirty material that was added. So it might be about 1.5, but I still have that little picker to add. So that takes us to 1.72. So if we subtract 0.22 hundredths of a gram, 22 hundredths of a gram for all the extra material, I think we're right on track. We got what we wanted. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to save that for somebody. And then that leaves us 1.55 grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a half gram. I'm going to divide it into 3 half grams, and I'll make 3 bags of Anita's Paydirt out of this material. Okay? Let's get this under the microscope. So as you can see, now this is the, whoops, there we go again. I can keep, this is the material without that one picker that I showed you at the beginning. So, but you can see it's really hard to tell the difference between some of this gold that's really dirty and then additional rocks that we have in there. But, you know, for example, that rock right there, it looks like a rock, but you scratch it a little bit. There was one piece that was flat, and I scratched right there. So that piece that you see at the top, I thought it's just a rock, and I scratched it with my pocket knife, and underneath that rock, that dirt, was gold. So, I mean, there are some rocks in here, but they were pretty hard to pan out, you know, and get away from the gold. So it was pretty difficult, and it didn't make any difference, you know. As you've seen in some of the photos, it pretty much didn't make any difference. For example, look at that. That's hard to tell whether it's a piece of gold or just a, you know, rock. Tough to work. Now there's some clean pieces, obviously, and like I said, I think we can get. I'll measure a half gram from the 1.55 grams, and I'll spread it amongst 3 bags. Look, there's a little garnet right there. See that right there? A little translucent garnet. But that big black piece there, that's not a rock. That's gold covered in dirt or whatever material. I don't know. It's not just dirt. I'm sure it's some sort of metallic iron, you know, silicate, whatever mess. Tony has warned me in the past that it's A, difficult to pan out, and B, that it's dirty. Now, there's a nice clean piece there. But it's a very different kind of gold from anything that I've panned out so far, even from the material that I clean in Alaska. I mean, look at that piece right there. It's just gold and a bunch of, I don't know, when you look at it, it's a very different pay dirt, but we do have enough for what I think if I put a half gram in each of 3 bags, and we'll call them Anita's Paydirt and kind of keep the memoriam going for her. Now, you're going to be watching this on Friday, July 7th. We're having Kevin's memorial service on Saturday, July 8th, which means we won't be doing a show that evening, but we will be doing a live stream on Monday, July 10th at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, and we'll have at least 2 giveaway packages because we have one from last week that wasn't collected, and we'll give away one of these Anita's Paydirt, and then we'll save the 2 of them for the following week. Okay? And then this little nugget right here, I think I'll save that for just somebody special, you know? All right. Thanks for watching, guys. You know we appreciate your time in all of this, and we hope you enjoyed this. I will put a link to Tony's YouTube channel and his web page down below, because you can still order material for him. I don't know if he has any more of Anita's Paydirt, but I think he still has some of Miss Kimmerson's Blue Tundra Delight, which is just as difficult to work if you want something challenging. Okay? Thanks, guys.